Hello, everyone. This is Juwan Buford. Definitely happy to be your host here with the Grow Givers Project. And if you're not familiar with our program, we are an organization that's dedicated to helping business owners and entrepreneurs make the transition from self-employed to actually becoming employers. We provide strategies, tactics, motivational frameworks, and mindsets to help business owners achieve their goals. And one of our loftiest goals is literally to help over 100,000 entrepreneurs over the next 10 years level up and become employers, opportunity providers in their community. And I'm really excited to be with Taylor Kanigowski. She and I met a number of months ago randomly at a coffee shop, which is not so random because you all know that's where I hang out at. That's where I meet most of the talent. And I was blown away by her energy and just how passionate you are about the nature of work that you're doing here in the marketing and sales space. And of course, just had a conversation where I learned there's more to you than meets the eye. You're not just simply a marketing consultant, so I'm not going to steal your fire. I may get a little bit nosy and do a little bit deeper dive here in a moment. But like I said, I was really excited to chat with you because in 5 minutes, you gave me more value, asked me more questions to kind of understand why marketing is important, how to ascertain whether or not someone would be a good fit, whether or not I can help you out. And I said to myself, man, people need to hear this. And of course, I'm being a little bit selfish too here, Taylor. I'm going to ask you questions so I can learn a little
Yes,
bit more
please
here as well.
do.
Yes. But if you don't mind, share with us, number one, exactly what it is you provide in terms of your services and give us a little bit of the backstory in terms of why you're excited about being a marketing consultant as well as some of the other projects that you're working on.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you one for your kind words. And I love the meeting people at a coffee shop. I actually met my partner at a coffee shop. So that's it's like it just happens. I know magic happens.
Yeah.
And yeah, just thank you so much for having me. I love getting to share and get to reconnect with you deeper too. So super appreciate it. But
Yeah.
if I'm going to give, the high level overview of how I get to spend my time these days, one, I am the founder and head coach of something called Align to Achieve, which that's where kind of my marketing services have come to be and really has honestly evolved over time. And even honestly, probably since we connected at the coffee shop, things have, with a new year and all of that have taken just a new level of form. And so in that work, I pretty much joke that if a life coach and a business strategist had a baby, you get me. And really pulling from my marketing background and my love of branding, my love of just building businesses through the power of relationships and the power of storytelling. And so I get to come alongside entrepreneurs and come alongside high performing leaders to help them essentially, ask them what's the vision for your business, the next vision for your life, and how can I help you get there? And so I've had the opportunity to work with now people honestly over across the world to be able to move to their next level. And so it's a super, super big honor to get to just walk alongside people. And it's a professional service, but it really becomes so personal. So I gain so many friends and great connections along the way in that. Alongside that work, I'm also the co-founder of something called the Referral Circle, alongside my co-founder Dara, who's in Atlanta. And we started this about a year ago, but have really been in the first stage of it since May, officially live, officially on board. And in summary, the Referral Circle is a service-based leaders and entrepreneurs come together to exchange business. And so we create circles of 10 to 30 people, all in complementary industries from each other, but not conflicting services. And through the power of repetitive meetings, through the power of getting to know each other deeper, they exchange business and they make a lot of money. So my co-founder is actually on maternity leave in the moment of this recording date. So when she comes back this spring, we're kind of going to move from like the beta test that we've been doing over these past months and start to make it live to the public and inviting more people into what we've created. Because so far it's been super powerful and super cool to see people actually get like kind of life-changing results. And so that's been super cool to see. Um, And then next, I'll just mention I'm now the host of Creative Mornings Detroit, which is a free monthly gathering for Detroit's creative community. And that is hosted at a new event venue I also get to be a part of called the Gallery at Ideation Orange. And so, in summary, that's my high level of all the things. It's funny. I think sometimes people are like, oh, like, you do like so much, like, like, you do you have sparkly, or like, what is it, shiny object syndrome? But to me, and I bet you think similarly, it's like everything's like a puzzle, and it's like, no,
Mhm.
they all actually all go together. Like, they're all leverage tools, they all help each other, and they help each other grow. And so it's just, funny giving the whole overview of things, because I know it can come across as a lot, but it's like, I promise there's strategy behind it.
Well, I like what you said earlier, right? If you married, and repeat that for me again, 'cause I thought that was dope. You said if you marry being a business coach with
Oh, a life coach with a business strategist.
life coach with a business
If they had
strategist.
a baby, you get me.
Yes, I love that. The beautiful thing about entrepreneurship is we get to ultimately monetize our passions, right? We get to
Yeah.
kind of live our passions. And I see the correlation between everything you're doing. I mean, creating networking opportunities for individuals to get together and share ideals and support each other. And then, of course, that synergy creates ideation, the ability to share strategies, tactics to level up together. Um, I love it. I mean, one of the things I love about entrepreneurship is you get to choose who you work with,
Yes.
who you serve. And it sounds like you're just doing that and scaling it. So congratulations. I love it.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
It's a blast.
Yeah. So here's the thing. This was what really caught my attention and what I wanted to really dive into. Because when we spoke, you asked me what is it that I needed. And I realized that I'm terrible at marketing. I am. I will willingly admit it. Sales management, got it. Operations, got it. Tactics, strategies, things like that, all about that life. But I never hired or onboarded someone to help me out with marketing.
Mm,
And part of it was because I didn't quite understand it, right? You hear people throw around these terms, I'm a marketing consultant. It's like, okay, what is it, social media? Is it SEO?
hmm.
Okay. What's a funnel? You know, why do I need a CRM? What's email? All these different things come to
Yeah.
mind. Like, how can a person really help me scale my business if I'm already generating revenues? I'm taking on clients. I got the sales piece down, but I knew in order to level up, I had to take on this, right? But it was just so nebulous to me. So if
Sure.
individuals listen in, right, who they have a viable product, viable service,
Hmm.
they are generating revenues on a regular basis. Maybe they're building a team, right? So they have their small cadre and maybe 3, 5 people or so. Why is marketing so important? Like, why is it so relevant to a business owner at that point?
Yeah. Great question. I think I'm right there with you. Marketing is such a huge thing. Like, are we talking about digital marketing, SEO, like you're saying, really data
Mhm.
driven? Are we talking more of the branding side where it's storytelling and, art and design? And so it really is this whole big picture. But I think I would, first ask someone, like, let's get clarity on your main goal, like, right now.
Mhm.
Like, is it brand awareness? Is it credibility? Is it actually, conversion from something? And so I think one, getting clear of your intention and your objective, I would say, is the first conversation to have with someone, and then making
Mhm.
decisions from there. And so I think someone who's looking to want to invest in their marketing is someone that I I think they just, it's such a case by case basis, because it's depending
Mhm.
on the industry, it's depending on who you're trying to reach. For me, I naturally, if I love to say business and marketing is such an art and a science,
Mhm.
I love to think strategically. I'm right there with you. I love sales management, love tactics, all of that. But in this conversation, I probably lean a little more on the art side of things. So
Hmm.
how are you moving people through your business? How are you making them feel by interacting with your brand before they even have a conversation with you? What is the experience that your business is creating for someone? And so those are the questions I like to ask and then be able to create, the strategies from there, whether that's like, okay, let's create an email campaign that helps to bring the energy, the essence, the story of your brand to people in their inboxes that maybe, leads to them signing up for your thing, whatever it is. And so yeah, I don't have a direct answer, to that generally speaking, but I
Hmm.
think I almost respond to that question with more questions for people to ask themselves before they, choose to really lean into their marketing hard.
So let me ask you this then. What do you think that entrepreneurs get wrong about the marketing industry and when and who to actually work with?
Mm. Funny enough, I tend to see entrepreneurs almost get too caught up in the marketing
Mm,
first. Like they worry about having the most beautiful brand or having the perfect website. And that's even before they've like sold anything. Like I see that so often with clients that first come to me. And it's like,
hmm.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, let's try selling some things like first and like make sure this that your product actually works or your service actually works and there's momentum being built on it. So I
Hmm.
think I often see that people get distracted by marketing first instead of using it as a tool in their toolbox, And so I'm definitely, I think, a sales first person, then a marketing person. And so it's like, how do you leverage the beauty of marketing into your sales strategy? Because if you're not making business or making money in your business, it's just a hobby, And so we have to let that drive us and then use the tools that are available to help reach that goal that you have in front of you.
Okay, so let me be a little bit more specific then, right?
Yeah,
I remember our conversation like it was yesterday because I was very much intrigued by some of the responses you
sure.
gave, right? So number one, the questions that you shared with me um, were like eye-opening, right? At the time when I met with you, you know, I've built a sales organization within the B2B space. And you hit the nail right on the head, right? The first thing is, do you have a viable product? Do you have a viable service that you're providing that people are actually acquiring? Because you can have quote unquote the most smacking marketing in the world, but if there's nothing behind it, you're not going to earn
Yeah,
anything, right?
yeah.
Um, so in my mind, I was thinking, okay, so I started out as a team of me. I'm at a team of we. We're generating revenues on a consistent basis. We have these systems in place, right? And we're making an impact in the community. Like we're helping business owners level up. We're
Yeah.
helping people launch, thrive. We're helping people become employers. We're doing all these different things. And in my mind, I was thinking, okay, the biggest challenge is um, it's one of those things like if you're not in the forest and the tree falls, do you really hear it? And I
Mm,
was like, I know I've reached a point where we're doing good work. We're generating revenues. Our partners are thriving, doing well, but not enough people know about us, right?
mm,
I almost think about it like if I had a phenomenal business downtown Detroit or Birmingham or Chicago or Dallas or Charlotte or Atlanta, the business could be doing incredible. But if there's no signage
mm.
outside where you can find us, right, we're just going to be limited in terms of the capacity to scale. And in
Yeah.
my mind, I was thinking, okay, that's why I need someone to help out marketing because not enough
Mm,
people know about us,
yeah.
right? So for a business owner to reach that point, right? Because I deal with a lot of entrepreneurs, that's the stage that they're at.
Yeah.
Um, what's the approach they should take in terms of working with a professional like yourself? Like, where can you specifically add value to help business
Mm-hmm.
understand why marketing consultants are important?
Yeah. Well, I think almost you answered your own question in a way of I heard between the lines of what you're saying, we just need
Mm-hmm.
more brand awareness. Like that feels important because we're doing well like interpersonally with people, but we want to open the doors wider to let people know that we're here to invite them in. And so for your specific case and for any case, I think there's so many arrays of options for things. I think that looks like one physically, if there's someone has a physical space, what their outside, space looks like, what their interior experience of their building looks like. Your building is a marketing communication within itself. So taking a look at what is the design of that, what is that communicating to your digital front doors, with social media, with Google, with how are you reaching people, what are people experiencing. And so I think that includes messaging and story. I think that includes design. I think that includes, okay, how do we want people to think and feel about us and be attracted to us, to know that
Mhm.
before they even read a dang thing, just by the vibe we're getting off that we, intentionally curate behind the scenes, people are going to be like, oh, those are my people, like those are for me. I want to learn more. We all do that. Like when we're scrolling on our phone, we'll see like one post pop up on our Instagram and be like, oh, what's that? Like, I'm into that, and click further, right? So there's a psychology behind it, and it's taking the time to really ask, like, who is our target person? What like attracts them to us, and what do we need to create so there's an aligned, synergy before we even have a conversation with them. And so and there are really so many, options in order to do that. I think also what comes to mind is partnerships and thinking through. I love riding on the coattails of other brands and other people that are phenomenal, that are an aligned, both ways. It feels like an aligned partnership, because that's such a way to, one, get out of your own echo chamber of the people you've been maybe talking to for a long time, and building those referrals through and all of that, because now you get to ride on the coattails of their audience and them for vice versa. So thinking through, what does that look like, to create a partnership with whom, what kind of campaign, what does that type of offer look like, in marketing in that sort of way as well. I would also include just really thinking through what is the unique, value proposition or the intellectual property of either the founder. I think personal branding is only growing and scaling to be a really effective marketing tool. And I know you utilize that as well. All right, with this podcast, right? You're establishing yourself as a thought leader, and honestly, people love to follow people even more than they love to follow brands these days.
Mhm.
And so there's something about exactly the work that you're doing, capitalizing on that, really positioning yourself as a leader and someone to listen to, for people to be, drawn to and, want to interact with and learn from. And so many options, all to say, of what I would tell someone to think about and decide on. But it's endless. That's where marketing, can be really fun, just like business creation in general, because it's kind of a playground. You get to create and trial and error and just create cool stuff.
So, two questions.
Yeah.
If someone's seeking your services, you've kind of answered a lot of this indirectly, but if you had to give someone a grocery list and say, look, before we sit down, I need these three things from you, or I need you to come
Mhm.
to the table with these three things, right? Because I feel like oftentimes entrepreneurs don't even know how to properly engage or employ the services properly, sales and marketing. So that's my first question.
Yeah.
The next question is, and I get this a lot, right? I'll talk to a business owner. They're paying $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $500 a month. 3 months in, they're like, I'm not getting any results. Or they don't know how to properly ascertain like what metrics they should be paying attention to determine whether or not professional or entrepreneur they're working with is actually benefiting them. Like,
Mm,
so those are the two things I'm thinking about right now. Like, number one, what does a business owner need to bring to the table in order to be a good client to you, right?
yeah. Great
I
question.
honestly feel like a coach is only good as a player,
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes.
Yep.
Um, and then what are the metrics people should pay attention to find out whether or not a marketing strategy is even effective for them?
Yeah. Great questions. So to answer your first one, I would say I'm pretty individualized based on
Mm-hmm.
who I'm talking to. I'll share with someone about someone that I just started working with. And I said, before we meet, send me these things. I
Yes.
asked her, what are you trying to sell?
Mm-hmm.
Um, who are you trying to sell to?
Mm-hmm.
And I also asked her, because she is in the creative kind of content creation space,
Mm-hmm.
send me other people that you're inspired by Who are the people that you are watching that you're like, oh, I'm watching their moves. We all kind of do that, whether we realize it or not, I think. And so she gave me in that question, that was so cool to see, literally an Excel sheet of probably 15 like people that were really similar to her in a great way. But it was like, after I got to read that, I was like, oh, I see what she's going for. Got it. And then I also asked her, um, I asked her to send me her favorite clothing brands, and how she did that was actually sent me a Pinterest board. And so it's kind of an intuitive backdoor way of like, after she even sent me that, I was like, I see what you're trying to do. Thank you. Because I think sometimes and I'm so about in business, especially from if it's super founder led, it being in alignment with who you really are and the authenticity and the core of who you are and the brand and
Mhm.
letting that express through. So she got to show me, not just tell me. And so those are the
Mm.
types of questions I like to ask because it's like, okay, now I know what I'm working with. And now I know what better questions to ask essentially to get us further. Um, so that's answer to part one. Part two, metrics wise, I mean, it's funny. Again, it's asking what is that initial goal that you have, especially remember art science, me leaning kind of on the art side of things. It's
Mhm.
more of a long-term game that you're playing in that space of marketing, and you're building awareness, you're building credibility, you're building notoriety in a sense. And it honestly can be hard to measure. Like it's hard, I think, sometimes for people like us, like our sales brains of like, oh, A plus B equals C. And if it doesn't do that, then it's not working. Right? There's something about capturing the essence of just getting people interested in what you're doing that you can't really measure. Like it's like the magic side of business that like it's hard to put an exact number to. But of course, right? There's okay, we want to put out this campaign to this many people and we're hoping to see this conversion rate. Great. Like that's what we can, start to see and start to pay attention to. But at least in my work, I'm more hanging out on that holistic end of things of let's just make you like feel really awesome to your consumer so that you open up the doors even more to let more people in to know who you are, and not even all people, the right people in to do that. And so it's honestly hard to measure to know it's working, but I think the goal is as time goes on, it's not just like, okay, 1 month they're hired and it's like working or not working. It's let's look at a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 10 years from now. What has happened over the trajectory because you invested in essentially how you show up to the marketplace in your own way. And, typically when people are putting intention behind it, cool things are happening for them.
I like it. You know, the way it's landing with me as I listen to you is that the driving force behind your work and that entrepreneurs should really take aim at is how do you show up in such a way where you attract your ideal client,
Yeah.
right? Because oftentimes as an entrepreneur, um, everyone isn't your ideal client. Your phone
No,
may be ringing off the hook, but it might not be the people whom you actually want to work with.
no.
And you have to be very clear about who you are, who you want to serve, so you can show up properly for them, so you're getting the right people. So
Yep.
I'm hearing that like
Right on.
implicitly in what you just shared.
Right on.
Um, Next questions. I know we're short on time, right? So I'm trying to pick out the most pertinent ones.
Love it.
Like I said, I'm being a little bit selfish here too. AI, AI tools. How is that
Love.
impacting the landscape in terms of the nature of work that you do, but also what doors is it out opening up for entrepreneurs who are like, what tools do you recommend? Why would you recommend, or what are some of the things that you're employing right
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of Chat GPT.
now? Okay.
I love it. Um, but I also think, at least in my experience, right, there's so many AI tools. So I think
Mm-hmm.
let's just like use ChatGPT as an example for the sake of simplicity here. So a communication writing tool or helping you get clarity in your thoughts tool. Like it's exactly that, a tool. And I'm at least starting to see in just the culture and, online conversation around AI, specifically this tool, is people are starting to tell, like, I literally read the comments of something and be like, oh my gosh, obviously ChatGPT wrote this. Bad. Yeah, bad.
Yeah.
So what does it look like to use the tool in a nuanced way, right? It's not
Hmm.
cheating, but what does it look like to know how to ask the tool the right questions to help you be more efficient in your
Hmm.
time of like, okay, great, works a little faster than my brain works. Let's get clarity around that, but then make it my own, or vice versa. Creating your own original thought because AI doesn't do that. AI doesn't have original thought. It is just a regurgitation tool. So how do I do that? Infuse that right kind of authentic energy magic that we were talking about, and then help it translate it for me to help me use it faster. And so I really love using it and foresee it being used really as an efficiency tool. Things that
Hmm.
used to take me 2 hours, I can do in 2 minutes now because I have that to help me. And so but what I'm trying to say is it doesn't replace the spirit behind business, behind brands, behind entrepreneurship, because, right, again, the magic of brand is us being like, oh, wow, like it catching our attention. And I would be so shocked if and maybe I'll be wrong, but I will be so shocked if AI is able to manufacture that, but like just on its own, because it is about the human spirit that comes through a brand, comes through an entity that makes something, I think, so special to some people and makes it be like, oh, I want to work with that person, or oh, like I want to use that product or use that brand. And so I think it's great. I'll to say, I think just like anything, using it consciously is the way to use it the most effectively.
Okay. Yeah, I'll willingly admit when I first engaged ChatGPT,
Mm-hmm.
I was very reluctant. I wouldn't use the word arrogant, but I was like, I feel like I'm more creative than this thing.
Mm-hmm. You are.
And I feel like that it's actually rotting my brain, my creative capacity by utilizing this tool
Uh-huh.
because it's basically I'm basically saying I don't want to exert myself mentally. Um, or maybe I'm just not ginned up. I'm in the mood. I'm not in the mood to create something that would be attractive. So let me just go to this tool right quick and take a shortcut.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started utilizing it. And for me, I started employing it almost as a way just to create frameworks,
Yes.
right? And then say,
Yep.
okay, so this is the framework. Now I'm going to put myself in the
Exactly.
framework, right? And I'm going to employ language. I'm going to employ a certain energy or the thing that I'm most passionate, interested in, and kind of use the framework in terms of how to just keep structured and organized. Because as a creative,
Mm-hmm.
I know I can be all over the place. Like I can be
Mm-hmm.
4 and 5 different places at the same time.
Sure.
And I've posted content many a time where I know people are looking at like, I don't think those two paragraphs really related. Um,
Mm,
or, maybe the post isn't necessarily congruent with the message that's being said. And I found that
sure.
AI, particularly ChatGPT, can kind of help with that.
I
Um,
think that's great.
yeah. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm looking at a lot of, I live and play on LinkedIn all day long. So I'm looking at some of these posts. I'm like, yeah,
You
that
can
was,
tell.
yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
Gross.
Did you say gross?
Yeah, I said gross. Because it starts to feel like, oh, they're cheating. Like they think they
Mhm.
can just say the right thing, right? That's where, in consumers, we're getting smarter and smarter, right? We used to be
Mhm.
able to, marketing used to be manipulation, but now we know when we're getting manipulated, right? And
Yeah.
I think people are starting to use ChatGPT as a way to do that. And so now, actually, you as a consumer or a viewer of someone's content, you actually just took credibility away from them instead of giving it to them because they said something so insightful or profound. And so I'd rather have someone have some grammar errors and say something really unique and something that makes me think versus like a perfectly curated paragraph that like is bland and boring and has no spirit behind it, you know?
That's interesting that you said that because I can sometimes be very idiosyncratic about that, right?
Mm,
Grammar and, you know, punctuate, everything in between, right?
yeah.
And then I'm like, well, but like sometimes even using slang, right? Or quote unquote off color language. I'm like, this is
Sure.
really me. This is how I really communicate. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to water it down where it's something that anyone could just produce and put out there. Like, I would,
Yes.
yeah. So I understand where you're coming from when you say that. Um,
Yes.
I see a lot of entrepreneurs struggling with that in particular as well. So as we start to wrap up here, right? Man, I got like 5 questions, but I'm gonna give you two.
We'll have a part two another
So
time.
yes. So if there were books, publications, or influencers that you could identify that have helped you become a better entrepreneur
Mm.
and better refine your craft, what are the books or publications or entrepreneurs or influencers that you're listening to right now to that end?
Love that. I actually see one of them sitting behind you right now, which is Traction. I'm a
Okay.
big EOS fan.
Yes.
Um, I use it not religiously. I use it as a framework that's a helpful tool because it helps you think of it takes the emotion out of business for a second and makes it like this is a system that you run, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I would say Traction has been a big influential book in the EOS system as a whole. Super supportive to me. Um, I would say for me, it's more so like I kind of pointed to before with the client, the question I asked her of send me the list of people that are inspiring you right now.
Mm.
I have more of that than like, oh, I read this book recently that like they had unique thoughts. There's almost maybe some people that are further ahead in their journey that if I was really honest, I see maybe a small part of myself in. So they're really inspiring of like kind of the if they can do it, maybe I can do it too type of vibe. So I would say some people that are inspiring me right now. One woman, Megan Ward, is someone. She's
Mm.
actually in Detroit. Amazing, amazing leader that I've gotten to know over these past months.
Okay.
She's an incredible leader that I'm so inspired by right now. Jacqueline Johnson, she's in California. She's the founder of Create and Cultivate. She sold her company. I think she has sold a few other companies prior to that, but she recently just bought it back, and it was like power move.
Fascinating.
It is. So
Yeah.
look her up. There's been a lot of Forbes articles on her on that right now. I would say my co-founder of the referral circle, Dara Brewstein, she is a phenomenal entrepreneur, and I am honored every single day I get to work alongside of her. Um, just is so smart, so cool, so just someone to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica Zweig is another leader that I follow. She's in Chicago. She just sold her marketing agency, but has ran something so beautiful. And I align so deeply with her message. A lot of, I think, what I've shared about just your authenticity is something that she has built a marketing agency around as well. And so, really inspired by her and what she has to say. There's so many. I mean, the founders for Black Tech Saturdays in out of New Lab right now.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny and Alexa, I only briefly met them. I don't think they know who I am, but I am watching them from afar and I'm just blown away. I think from a community perspective, but they've
Yes.
truly, I think, have gone 0 to 100, and to just see that community and see them pour into the community in a inspiring and also results driven way is super cool to me. Lastly, I would say a friend of mine, her name's Christina Fair. She's also in Detroit. She's the COO of Hum, an internet company. The way above
Hmm.
my pay grade of understanding what they actually do. She's explained it like 5 times. But all to say, all those names I just dropped,
Mm.
if and everyone should find them on LinkedIn and try to get them to go to coffee with you because they are incredible and I am deeply inspired by them amongst so many others. So
I love
I
it.
could go on.
I love it. No, that's a great start. Last question.
Great.
Actually, it's kind of two in one.
Okay.
Right now, what are the projects that you are working on that matter the most to you right now currently? Or I guess, what are the projects that you're investing most of your passions in right now? And of course, what's the best way for individuals to get in contact with you?
Yeah. I mean, I think all of the ones that I shared at the top of the episode of, just all those different things, I feel like my passions are fueling all of those. And kind of like we chatted before we started recording, I've really come to
Mhm.
find that my passion of connecting people, my passion of teaching people how to connect in order to grow their lives and their businesses, teaching people to connect to themselves and to express themselves as a way to grow their lives and grow their businesses, I think are really coming through all of these entities that I get to be a part of. So I feel like it's like picking your favorite child. Like I don't think like I can do that. um, and
Okay.
so it's honestly, it's hard to say, because they, like I said, all connect to and go with each other. But the heartbeat of, what I just shared is what connects all of them. And so yeah, I would say I would love to connect with anyone. I'm on Instagram and I'm on LinkedIn. I go by Taylor Mae because Kanigowski, my last name, throws people off a lot. And so Taylor Mae is the way to find me. And if you look me up, you'll find my stuff, but I'm always down to grab a coffee. I'm always down to connect and, see what opportunities, might be in place between me and another person. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. Man, we left so much on the table. There's so many other questions I want to pose to you right
Well, we
now.
got to get another coffee then and hang
Yeah,
out.
we got to get another coffee.
Can't wait.
um, but I thank you for taking time out of schedule. I
Thank
know
you.
being an entrepreneur, you are never sitting around twiddling your thumbs. So
No.
um, I know our audience are going to get some. I know I certainly pulled some valuable nuggets out of this discussion to help me along my
Awesome.
journey, and definitely looking for opportunities to explore how we can be of more support to you, help you grow your brand as well. I
Thank
just
you.
love how approachable you are. I love how transparent you've been from the very beginning about where you're at in your process and what you're looking to achieve. And you are definitely making a positive contribution to the ecosystem. I love it.
Thank you.
Um, to our audience who's listening today, as I said time and time again, the world was not necessarily built by super exceptional people, but everyday people who are just
Mm.
willing to do exceptional things. So hopefully this inspires you to go out and build something. And we celebrate your success in advance. Everyone have a fantastic day. Goodbye for now.